Today me and Nicole gonna talk about the technology change in the 20th century. My part is doing the medical advancements. So I'm gonna talk about the antibiotic and some of the medical innovations like open heart surgery, childbirth, organ transplantation, and actually there are a lot more. But I'm just gonna talk about these three and also the effect on the society. For antibiotics, the advent of antibiotics held a new era in the treatment of communicable disease. The concept of antibiotics had been uncovered accidentally. In 1928, Alexander Fleming, which is this guy, he left a petri dish of Staphylococcus bacteria uncovered and later noted that the bacteria had been killed by a mold. And upon further studying the mold, he discovered that it is from a family called Penicillium notatum. And then others soon saw the potential use of what later called to be known as penicillin. The discovery of penicillin changed the world of medicine enormously. With its development, infections that were previously severe and often fatal, like bacterial endocarditis, which is an infectious disease in your heart valve, and bacterial meningitis, which is in your brain membrane, and then pneumonia, which is in your lungs. They could be easily treated now. And the first patient was successfully treated with penicillin for Streptococcus septicemia, which is infection in your bloodstream, and it happened in 1942. The penicillin also helped reduce the number of deaths and amputations of troops during World War II. And then for open heart surgery, heart disease remains at the top of the list of country's killers. Despite of that, numerous important advancements in this treatment have made a considerable impact, extending and improving the lives of its sufferers. And Dr. John Gibbon, which is this guy here, he was an American surgeon best known for inventing the heart-lung machine. So what is a heart-lung machine? So it's like it when the surgery is performed, it controls the heart and lung functions. So which is this machine over here, invented in 1935 or 1930s around that time, and then he successfully used it on a cat in 1935, and then he continued to develop a better machine, and by 1953 he performs the first successful open heart bypass surgery on an 18-year-old. And the device is a culmination of 2 decades of research and experimentation and heralds a new era in surgery and medicine. And today, the coronary bypass surgery is one of the most common operations performed. So this is how the surgery is like. And this is the machine we have today. And the third one is advancements in childbirth. So up until the middle 20th century in the United States, childbirth was considered to be the most feared part of women's life. In the 19th and early 20th century, most women gave birth at home, supported by midwives, family, or neighbors. However, midwives' lack of training and poor hygienic environment caused maternal mortality rates to remain high, so doctors thought medical care was essential. So by 1935, 78% gave birth in maternity hospitals where doctors were in charge, and by 1939, free maternity care was available at public hospitals. With the advent of techniques in anesthesia, cesarean section, and forceps delivery, the chance of successful pregnancy and death rate decreases. As you can see the chart, around the time from 1900 to 1930, the death rate is around 600 to 800 per 100,000 births, and it decreases rapidly, and now it's like 0. Unfortunately, it's not available in all countries. It's only available in developed countries, and some poor societies are still lag behind in this area. And the last one is organ transplantation. So there are few surgical interventions today carry as much complexity as organ transplantation. The first successful transplant operation, which took place in 1954 in Boston, performed by Dr. Joseph Murray, which is this guy. He removed a kidney from one donor and installed it to the body of his identical twin. So this is his twin who received the operation at that time. And other organ transplants followed, including the first liver transplant in 1967 and the first heart transplant in 1968. And now we developed to the world's first full face transplant, which performed in 2010. So it was a huge success in the medical field, and there were still a lot more significant challenges coming along because each year there are fewer than half the people on the transplant waiting list receive organ transplant, and approximately 10 people die each day waiting for organs to be available. So the effects on us, so obviously life expectancy have increased because of the development of effective medicines, and deaths from the illnesses like tuberculosis, pneumonia, and typhoid fevers drop rapidly, especially among children, and life expectancy increased as a result. And by 1960s, deaths from infectious disease were no longer common. And by 1950 and 1980, new medicines for diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and cancer were introduced. Death rates declined and life expectancy grew. On average, a child born in the United States in 1900 will live to age 47. By 1965, it increased to age 70, and now people like us, we can expect to live up to 80. And you can see the Time magazine cover is showing that babies now can live up to 142 as well. So I'm going to talk about other technologies, which include automobile, television, and computer. So first, the introduction of automobile. This is the first automobile that is produced for the mass in the U.S., which is a 3-horsepower curved-dash automobile. And at the beginning of the century, the automobile entered the transportation market as a toy for the rich. However, it became increasingly popular because it gave travelers the freedom to travel where they want or whenever they want. And before automobile, people both live in the city and work in the city, and or they live in the country and work on the farm. But because of the automobile, the growth of suburbs has allowed people to live in outskirts of the city and work in the city by commuting. New jobs due to the impact of automobiles, such as fast food, highway construction, state police, convenience store, gas station, and jobs like that allow more employment for world's growing population. So the introduction of television, the electronic television was first successfully demonstrated in San Francisco on September 7th, which looks like that. And before 1947, the number of U.S. homes with television sets could be measured in thousands. By the late 1990s, 98% of U.S. homes has at least one television. And these sets were on for average more than 7 hours a day. Also, studies have shown that television helps young people to develop values from and form ideas about the world around them. Between 1940s and 2000s, commercial television had a profound and wide-ranging impact on American society and culture. At first, it influenced the social issue. It influenced the way people think about important social issues like race, gender, and class. And it also played an important role in political process um, especially in shaping national election campaigns. And also, TV programs and commercials also have mentioned as major factors contributing to increased American materialism. Um, finally, um, television helps spread American culture around the world. And last one is the introduction of computers. So the word computer was first recorded as being used in 1630 and originally was used to describe a person who performed calculations or computations. The definition of computer remained the same until the end of 19th century when the Industrial Revolution gave rise to machines whose primary purpose was calculating. So in 1837, Charles Babbage proposed the first general mechanical computer, which is called an analytical engine. Which look at that, and that's Charlie Babbage. So and after the first general mechanical computer, IBM 5100 is the first portable computer which is released on September 1975. Look like this. And in 1981, IBM produced its first personal computer called IBM PC, and it has, we should look at that, and it has 16 KB of memory. So the major cause of this second industrial revolution is the invention of computers. Computer is the most versatile machine humans have ever created. It plays an important role in our lives, and it covers huge area of application, including education, industry, medicine, scientific research, and government. So this is a graph. It's called the Revolution of Desk. It kind of reflect how the computer impact our life.
Nothing but the sunglasses.